Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to part 5. As you can see, we have a functional application now. So I got the data under weekly weather information. If I go out, get the full screen, go to the week, it shrinks and shows me the bottom part of the scroll view. All right, so let's dig in and see how we get here. First of all, we have 5 new files. Weekly weather, this is our model for the whole week. Then we have our weekly weather view model, which will fetch the data through the API and give us the result. And then we assign that to our published var, which is this one. It's an optional weekly weather. As soon as this is updated, we go to our weekly weather view, where we are going to show the result of that update as it happens. So first and foremost, model. This is the model that we have. I'm going to provide the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 of these files in the description. You will have the link to download them. So that's the model. That's the weekly. You're familiar with this one because this is similar to this right here. See, this is the current view that we fetch, and this is the weekly. So the both files are pretty much identical, but they're just fetching different data from the API. And then this is very important, extension. So what I did, I created a whole bunch of extension to make it easy to go through the data that's coming in. So the double, I wanted to have a full rounded number as an integer. So that's what we had before. Now this extension was sitting under content view previously. So I copied and pasted it into extension just to keep it in one file. Same for the URL extension. It was here before under the API class. And I also cut and paste in here so I can keep all my extensions in one file. Integer. So I created an extension on the int. This is the timestamp that requires a time interval. This is a double value. So if I option click on this, you'll see this returns a double, which is right here. Now, the time that we are getting through the API, if I show you under the weekly weather, see this? This is the date timestamp that the API is sending, and is sending it as an integer. So I needed some way to convert that into a time interval, which is a double. That's what date uses to decipher the date from that number from the timestamp. So I'm returning a interval as self, so integer, return yourself as time interval. Same what we did with the double, same kind of idea. And then I want any integer that I have, I want to show it. So I want to show it as a string. So I'm just saying, hey, toString, return yourself as a string on any integer value that I might have. Here's the magic. So date formatter is a class, or rather a struct that also has a property. It's a class, and this is a formatter. So you can format the date. Under the hood is the representation of NSDate object. So what I'm saying is, hey, I'm creating a convenience init method, so I can pass in my own string as the format of the date that I want from that timestamp when I get the date object. So I'm not interested in full date, and I'm interested in a certain part of that date or that timestamp. So I need to put in as a string for my date format, call the self init method of that class. So it's like super init or self init. And then I'm saying there is a property called date format. I'm telling it to, hey, just assign that property to whatever I am passing in, which is this date format. Then I'm going to the date class. I'm saying, hey, date, there's a static function, date from Unix timestamp. This is the timestamp that we're going to get back from our API. So I'm saying, hey, from the timestamp, which is a time interval, and now you know why I did this up here. So make it easy so I don't have to do it like, converting it every single time I call this method. And then return me a date object. So I'm saying return date This is the date class, and there is a method called time interval since 1970. I'm passing in the timestamp. So what this does, it takes the timestamps, converts it into that current time and date of that particular event. And then I'm saying, hey, this is a variable. It's a computed property. I'm saying, give me a string. I'm going to call it day. Give me the string representation of the day from the date format. I'm going to call the date formatter, which is this class. I'm calling it with my own convenience method, passing in this string, which is 4 E's. That means I need the full day, like this. This is what I want. If I go here, I want Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday. So if I go back and change this to just 2 E's, watch what happens. What this will do is this will give me the abbreviated version of the day, which will represent like this: SUN, MON, TUE, WED. So if I go back to 2, 3, 4 of these capital E's in here, then I'll get the full day. So you got the idea. And then I'm saying just return that to me as a string. So now you can see it's the full day. So I'm saying, hey, date formatter, which is this right here, passing this one. I got this object. So this object has a property called string. So I'm saying, hey, string from self. Self is the date. So whatever the date is, from that date, give me the string of the day, right? And then this is another convenience method that I have. It's a global method. So I'm saying day of the week from timestamp. So I'm going to pass the timestamp here, returning a string. Then I'm calling, hey, date. Give me the date from date Unix timestamp, this timestamp coming in here. And from that date object, I'm returning the day. You see this day here in green? This is the one right here. Because it's a class property, so I can call it on the object. And I'm saying, return this to me from this date object. And it's going to return me that particular day, which would be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever that day is on that particular date. So this is very important extension class. There's a lot going on in here. And then this is our weekly weather view. We have properties here called, this is variable list data, which is this list data right here. So if I go to show you, so this is the list data, right? You've got sunrise, sunset, date object, time, temperature, weather, array of however many days are there, cloud, pressure, and humidity of that particular day. And now this is a value. I'll show you why I'm using this, and the height, they're all set to 0, but I'm gonna pass them as I call this particular object on the main content view, and I'll show you in a minute. And then this is the width property. I'm saying, hey, width of the main screen, just divide it by 2 and return this to me. And then I'm going to set the width of the card, which is this right here. You see the width of the card? So if I go back here, this whole width of the card is half of the screen size. And that's why you see, 3/4 of this card here. So that also visually tells the user, hey, you can scroll this because there is more content behind it. So if this was to represent scrolling, that's the idea of that. So, and then I have a scroll view under our body computed property. We have a scroll view, set it to horizontal. Indicators, I set it to false. I don't want to see any indicators. Horizontal stack, running a for each loop on the list data, which is this array, and then getting the list object from there. This is the card view, and this is this card view right here. It's just, I could have put everything in one, in this view, but it's better to separate your views, and that SwiftUI provides that to you, that you can separate your view as much as you can. So it's easy to debug and easy to, to work on these things versus going through one huge file. You have small pieces where you can, adjust whatever you want to adjust in that particular, view. So you don't have to worry about looking for the whole file, going through thousands of lines of code. So this is basically is the idea to just, segregation of code for readability and ease of, understanding of what's going on. So I'm passing in the object here. That's the singular object. This is the whole array. I just need one from each. So this array contains 5 days because I'm fetching 5 days worth of weather. So this would be 5 times. So I'm just giving each one of those as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be the 5 total values. I'm going to shrink this here a little bit. And then I'm setting the frame on the card view. The width is this right here. Like I said, half of the screen. And the height, again, doing just a little bit of magic. So height is the value. So the value property, it could be 0 and 1, but we're going to start with 0. If it is 0, I'm going to have my height set to 0. I don't want to show anything. If I go now this is 0. So I want full screen. I don't want to show anything underneath, on the top, on the side. So the height is 0. It's gone. It disappears from the screen. It's not in the viewport. Now, if it is not 0, if this is 1, right, then I want my height to be, times 60. So it's 60% of the full height. So if it is 100, I just want 60% of that 100. Remove the 40%, just give me 60%. So that's what I'm saying right here. And then this is, again, out of the box animation, ease out in half a second. And this is something I will show you what this is. This is just a modifier. What this is doing is, it's doing actually this, foreground color.white, right? Background color.blue. Okay. Corner radius 45. So let me just run it. So now I've given it to the same card. We have given 4 different modifiers, right? So as you see, it's 45-degree radius, white color on the the content inside, and then the blue color on the whole card, which is right here. It says blue right here, right? So that's what exactly is going on. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modifiers here. So instead of going all that, so what I did is I just created a modifier, passed in all the values that I wanted to change, and I said, hey, card modifier, and then list date timestamp. I'm sending in the timestamp, and that's for another reason. I'll show you in the next part why I'm sending in the timestamp with the card modifier. So where is the card modifier? Let's look at it. It's in the card view file, which is right here. So I'm saying, don't worry about this. I will explain this in the part 6 and this as well. So what I'm saying is, hey, modifier, create a modifier that also, right here, I'm going to say content and then some view. It's a function. If you look at it, this is a variable, but here it's a function. So this protocol provides you a function that you have to fulfill the functions. To fulfill this protocol, you have to have this function fulfilled. So this function is returning some view, and whatever is passed in, when I call the modifier on any other view, the view is going to be passed in automatically to me, and that view comes in as a content, and that content I can set up background linear gradient, corner radius, right? So I've set that up already here, and I can keep adding more modifiers into this, and then all I have to do is just call it once. See, it's just one line right here. More cleaner code, more, easier to understand of what's going on, and easy to maintain. If I have to change any modification on this code, I can just go to the modifier and do that versus, digging around, thousands of lines of code again. It's just also, it makes it easy. So that's our card view. Once we pass the list data on the card view, we go to vertical stack. This is my method from the extension file that I have, day of the week from timestamp. So I'm just passing the timestamp up to here. This is what I'm getting from the API. This is returning an integer. So this integer, now I have extension on the integer called timestamp. This will be a time interval automatically. See, that integer is changed into time interval. So when this comes back, it comes back as a time interval, and time interval is a double value, and that gives me the ability to decipher the date from this timestamp. And then out of the box settings here, horizontal stack. This is my Again, up to here is an integer, and then this is a toString. So I could have done this. Another way of doing it is this. So that's called string interpolation. I should actually do that because that gives me another. So this is the same thing as this right here, right? So this and this is the same. I cannot pass the integer directly in the text field. It will not print it for me. It will say this does not, you know, it's not complying with the protocol of the text field that's supposed to be a string. You can't just pass in double or integer or floating point value here and assume that it will show up on the screen. So you have to do some string interpolation magic to actually make them appear. So I'm just avoiding this, you know, extra work. I'm just directly calling toString method, and that converts it to a string, and that's why it's not complaining. They're both same, but they're not complaining. With this one, what I can do is I can I can press the option key and then press the 0. That changes to the degree sign. That gives me, you know, a little bit of, you know, more control, and if I wanted to show something else along the line with that temperature. I don't really care. It's just for the, you know, training purpose. So now you can see there's on this one, small one, see that degree sign right there next to the 42 and 38. That's that degree right here. That's what's showing up. Anyway, so right here in the middle, we're going to put some icons. If you remember the original one, we had some weather icons that you will be able to see. That's coming in the next video. I don't have time to do that right now. And then this is minimum temperature. This is regular temperature of the day. And this is the description, same as before. You already know this from the current weather, which is right here. See this description? It's the same exact thing I'm doing here. So that gives me the description. Its font is set to body, color is white, and that's the card modifier. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 files, right? Now, where is this method, weekly weather, under the API? So if I go here and I go to API, so this is your previous fetch current weather function that we have under the API class, and this is the new that I created just now. So this is right here. It's doing exactly the same thing. What it's doing is this extra parameter that I have in here, not in here, but here. This can be controlled, so I can have this set to 16 days, and if I run it again, I watch what happens. It's going to fetch the weather for 16 days versus 5 days. You can have 5 days, 10 days, 16 days, you know, up to 16 days. That's the maximum. So this is 16 days. See how it's scrolling all the way to 16th day? And I can just say, hey, I just want it for 2 days. So this is the count, CNT. It's a parameter called count. And I can pass in the number, how many days of the weather that I'm actually looking for to get back. So this is just 2. So we said I'm only 2 days, so Sunday and Monday, that's it. That's all I'm getting. So yeah, minimum 5 days is something that you would be interested in to see up to the whole, you know, Monday through Friday. You want to see the weather. You can do some also, you know, 7 days, 8 days, 10 days. It's up to you, whatever number you feel like. Now here, that's the same, you know, URL that we're getting. So this is the base URL for weekly weather. This is right up here. Base URL for weekly weather. It's already there in the previous version of this previous part. So it's not something that I just created. It's always been there. And then I'm saying, okay, bring the data. If it's nil, just print out the error. Then, you know, decode my weekly weather from that data that I just got, which is right here. And then if it is successful, run it on the main queue. Remember, this is very important. If I remove this, then I will be running everything on the background thread, which is not very, you know, efficient. So I want this to be on the main thread, and then once I have the data and I have the object, I want to pass that through my own success caller to hand it over to whoever is calling it, which would be right here. I'm calling it right here, passing in the city, which is London, and I'm saying, hey, give me whatever you're returning to me. I want to take that and, you know, assign it to my object right here, this variable. And once this variable is updated, because it's at published, as soon as this is updated, it's going to say, hey, I have some value. It's going to go to content view. This is where I'm going to call it. This is the first call right here. So in content view, we have two new properties. This is just the height property. For ease of use, I just put it right up here, so I can just pass in the height. When I'm calling this weekly weather, I want to pass the height. So that's the height times 50. And then this observed object, weekly weather view model, which is right here. And then this provides me with weekly weather dot list, right? And that's list is an array. So I'm saying this is nil coalescing. I'm running here. I'm saying, hey, if this optional value is nil, I don't want this to crash. What I want you to do is just pass in the empty array. If you pass in the empty array, it's not going to crash. It's just going to not have any data, and it will be just blank cards without any data in it. And then this selected property, which is right on top right here, is the same property right here on my picker view. So what I'm saying is, hey, picker view, as soon as you click on the button that's weak, the selected property becomes 1. I want to send that in as a value, selected value, and also the height, that would be the height of my current screen size. I want to take that and give me just 50% of that full screen, because if I take 100%, then you will not be able to see the current weather card, which is this one, this right here. So what happens is, if I take 100%, these cards will automatically expand all the way up to here, and this card right here will be pushed away. So it will be a conflict between these two items, so they will not be happy with each other. So it will be a fight of who wants the more space. So that's why I said, give me 50%, you take 50, I'll take 50%, so we're both happy. That's that. And I'm passing that information right here, which I'm getting it here. That's my array, that's my value of the selected property, that's my height. And this is just the width that I'm getting from within this file. So this is not coming from anywhere but from this file right here. And then I'm running a for each loop, passing the list, individual list, to my card view, which is right here. And this card view is just the list data. It's not an array, it's just a single item. And that's why I'm able to take all the data and show it in different text and all that stuff that I have here. So we're going to put in some icons here pretty soon. You have the API. I'm going to post this function and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files in the description, and then content view. I'm going to post this as well, so you don't have to, if you run into an issue, so you can actually have something to look back at. So I'm going to put this one as well in the description, so you get the idea of what we're doing. What I also found is, I'm going to put, as you can see my notes here, these are just the notes to myself. So I'm going to put a text field. So what we can do is we can type in the name of the city, and as soon as we type the name of the city and we hit enter, it will actually fetch the weather for that particular city, right? So that I will show you in the next video, and that will be the final video of this series. And then we already got this, so I can get rid of this one here. So yeah, we're gonna put a text field here, which will allow us to enter any city name, and then it will fetch the weather for that particular city and update our views as well, both the weekly and the current view. That's coming. That's the part 6, and that's the final part. And then we'll be done with this one, and we'll move on to the new project. As always, please subscribe to my channel. That helps me a lot. That helps me keep motivated doing these kind of videos more and more. Let me know under the comment section if you have any question and if I can help. Thank you so much.